And welcome back to the Bowling Sisters, and I am back again. And today we are talking about UCL Match Day 4. Yes, it is just round the corner, so we have a lot to catch up on. We've done the Match Day 3 preview as well as review. You can catch it up over here, somewhere here. So let's get straight into it. Yes, it's an exciting time. We are coming on to the business end of the group stages, and there is certain very open groups which are there. Any team can qualify from anywhere from the third to the first spot, or maybe on the fourth spot to the first spot or the second spot, or some have already pre-qualified by now. So let's start off. The first game which I want to talk about is Paris versus Benfica. What happened in match day 3 was a draw between both these teams when they were playing in Benfica. Now it was a 1-1 draw. Messi scored. Yes, Messi fans, it was a time to rejoice, but the result was a bitter sour result for all the PSG fans. Now, what are we looking at in match day number 4? A lot to think about because right now the group is in a very open stage. PSG are at the top of the group with 7 points, followed by Benfica at 7 points. Now, whoever wins this group, and if it is a draw again, then more or less both these teams are on the verge of qualifying. Just need to win their respective one more game and they should be through to the qualifying stages, which is going to be a big surprise because Juventus is sitting on the third spot. Right now, what I am looking at and what I understand is it will not be an easy game for Benfica at Parc des Princes. It should be a very very hefty win for PSG. I'm hoping that the trio of Mbappe, Neymar and Messi are able to weave their magic and PSG are able to win, because all the Juve fans would be expecting that itself, that if PSG are able to beat Benfica, that opens this door, slight door, that Juventus might be able to creep through in the coming last two match day 5 and match day 6 games which are going to be happening. But right now, as it stands, PSG versus Benfica, my opinion and my result, which might be, is going to be a 2-1 drubbing for PSG, 2-1 victory for PSG and a loss for Benfica, which is very highly difficult, seeing the kind of match which Benfica has been playing and the way they have been performing, winning 2 out of 3 games. Both the teams have been at par and Benfica's performance has been top notch. So let's see what happens in match day number 4 for these two teams. Moving from PSG versus Benfica, let's jump on to the big boys. AC Milan versus Chelsea. What happened in Stamford Bridge was nothing but a sheer drubbing of AC Milan. Even though they were out of players, they didn't have a majority of their players, but it didn't show like that. Chelsea were way better. Chelsea performed better, and what that did was it pulled Chelsea up higher in the table and pushing AC Milan down. So as the table stands, Chelsea and AC Milan are tied on points with 4 each, whereas Salzburg is at the top of the table after beating Zagreb. Now, what does this do? If Chelsea beat AC Milan in San Siro, then Chelsea go top of the group along with Salzburg if they are able to beat Zagreb, and AC Milan will be remaining stranded at the third position. Later on, yes, Chelsea does have games versus Salzburg as well as Zagreb and AC Milan as well. So this match alone will hold a lot of importance of both these teams qualifying if they want to get into the UEFA Champions League's the qualifying stage of round of 16. Right now, I feel that Chelsea hold an upper hand. The team has started to perform. AC Milan is also performing in the Italian Serie A. Chelsea have started to pick up the pace and have been performing well. So let's see what does this game does. But right now, as I look at it, going to San Siro and winning or even drawing would do wonders for Chelsea and their qualifying opportunity for the coming days in the Champions League. So let's keep it that way, that it might be a draw, but I don't want to go that way. I'll give a 2-0 victory for Chelsea and Graham Potter's Chelsea and loss for the Milans. Moving from Chelsea versus AC Milan, let's go to Denmark. Copenhagen has been Parken Stadium is where Copenhagen is going to be hosting Manchester City, who are on a high flying. They are more or less qualified in their group with top of the table with 9 points, whereas Copenhagen has one step out. If they want to make a mockery out of this group, they might want to win. They've just got 1 point and they are on tied points with Sevilla. If Dortmund beat Sevilla again, then Sevilla and Copenhagen would be fighting for points when they are meeting each other. But right now, it is a game between who's going to be at the tabletop, and I feel Pep Guardiola is going to be resting a lot of the main men. So it might be a B team for Manchester City playing Copenhagen. We don't know, but whichever team is going to be playing, they're going to be hammering the hell out of Copenhagen in Copenhagen. So on that note, it might be a 4-0 victory for Manchester City. Nothing more, nothing less. That is what I feel that is going to be happening at Copenhagen. Now moving from Copenhagen versus Manchester City, let's go to the second big game of the match day 4 is between Napoli and Ajax. Napoli beat Ajax with a convincing victory. They are table toppers. They gave Ajax the biggest European defeat. Now what that does is it puts a spot of bother with Liverpool performing. They beat Rangers. They are now at the number 2 spot. Ajax on the 3rd spot with just 3 points. Napoli more or less has 1 foot in the qualifying stage with 9 points. They need just 1 more point or 1 victory more so that they are through to the next game. Now, but this time around, if Ajax are able to beat Napoli, which right now have been going unbeaten even in the Italian league as well as in the Champions League, they are performing at the highest level. So what I feel is Napoli is going to be running riots again, and it might be another very, very tough day for Ajax in this match day 4 playing against Napoli. But on the other hand, if Ajax performs to the level they have earlier, and if they do so, Ajax might make a meal of this match, and if they get out with even a point, it is going to be a victory of sorts, and they can still plan to qualify and because they've got a game with Liverpool as well as Rangers in hand. So if they're able to get the maximum out of there, then it is Ajax's team which will qualify for the round of 16. There's a lot of permutations and combinations in place, but then right now, if we have to focus on match day 4, Ajax really needs to pull their socks up and win that game, or maybe a draw, and hope that Rangers hold Liverpool or don't lose at a margin which might not be catchable for Ajax. On that note, let's move to the next game, which is going to be a big game for Atletico Madrid, sitting at the bottom of the group, and Club Brugge at the top, which I don't think so anybody in Champions League, when the groups came out, expected that Atletico Madrid would be reeling at the bottom of the group with 3 points. They've lost back-to-back games in the group. They lost to Club Brugge last week, and they are playing again, but this time around they are playing in Metropolitano. Now what this does is that it actually puts Atletico Madrid in a spot of bother. It is a must-win game for them. It is to put them back on the map, because Club Brugge again has 1 foot in the round of 16, but the other 3 teams, Porto, Leverkusen as well as Atletico Madrid, have 3 points on the board. So what that does is that right now for Atletico Madrid is to concentrate and get a victory in the Wanda Metropolitano so that it firms their way ahead, because then they've got Porto and Leverkusen in match day 5 and 6. What that will do for them is going to be a big boost going into match day 5 and 6 with a slight less amount of pressure, and able to get at least one game in that where they're going to be getting results. So that ways it is going to be a very, very close call in this group. It's a pretty open group. Apart from Club Brugge is more or less qualified, and I hope they don't shoot themselves in the foot. Moving from Club Brugge and Atletico Madrid, I want to talk about the other game which had a lot of controversies. Yes, you to guessed it right. It is Barcelona versus Inter Milan. Last time around, Inter Milan was able to scrape through that victory in San Siro, but this time around it's Camp Nou, and Barcelona have been on a very high flying performances in the La Liga. What that does is the last week's victory has put Barcelona on the third spot of the Europa League with 3 points, whereas Inter is slightly up with 6. And Bayern Munich has already more or less qualified, like I said, one step in the round of 16. But again, a big but. What happens if Barcelona beats Inter Milan at Camp Nou? What will that do to this group? What this will do is that it is going to open. It's going to be a fight between these two. Who's going to be getting the maximum amount of points, the head-to-head points, as well as who's going to be having a better goal difference. It is going to be a big problem for even Barcelona because they might have to drop down. They spent a lot. They're going to be losing out on a lot of money from the Champions League and going into the Europa League. And if they don't win like last season, it is again going to be mayhem for Barcelona. They've activated a lot of levers, a lot of debt is there. So we have to see how does Barcelona perform. But right now, in my eyes, it is Barcelona's game to win against Inter Milan because Inter Milan themselves have not been performing to a very great level in the Italian Serie A. So a lot to be looked at because they are going to be fighting for that lucrative second spot and the qualification for the round of 16. Moving from Inter versus Barcelona, let's talk about Rangers versus Liverpool. I've already addressed Ajax and Napoli. Like I said, that Ajax and Napoli have a major game. So does Liverpool, coming from a drubbing against a very high flying Arsenal game just yesterday. What that does is that even though they've lost that game and Liverpool's performance in the league has not been that well, Rangers is going to be that one game which Liverpool feel they'll be able to perform well and take the maximum points. If they do so, they're going to be more or less sealing the spot, and if Ajax beats Napoli, this group is going to be becoming very interesting for match day 5 and 6, where Ajax will be meeting Liverpool as well as then Ajax would be also meeting Rangers, and Liverpool will have a game against Napoli where if Napoli beat Liverpool, it opens the door wide open for Ajax to qualify. But right now, the reins of qualification are in the hands of Liverpool. Their own fate is in their own hands. But after that, it is going to be again who's going to be the better team on the day. So on that note, let's move forward to the last game which I want to talk about, and that's between Antonio Conte's Tottenham Hotspurs versus Eintracht Frankfurt. The last time these two met in match day 3, they had a very stale draw of a 0-0. Antonio Conte's team was not able to break Eintracht Frankfurt's defense, but on the contrary, right now when entering into England, their own territory in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the feeling is that Antonio Conte's side would be able to break Eintracht Frankfurt's defense as well as they should be hoping to get the maximum amount of points from this league game of match day 4. What that will do is, because Frankfurt and Tottenham Hotspurs are tied on points, it will put them one step ahead. And this group is actually equally poised with Sporting losing last week. So the Sporting has 6 points, Spurs at 4, Frankfurt at 4, and Marseille at 3. If Marseille wins, then it is an interesting group to be looking at. The most exciting games are going to be coming in match day 5 and 6, where everybody is going to be fighting for that second spot and not the Europa League spot. Do like, share, subscribe, enable those notifications. Do let your friends know about our content, and if you like that, please do hit the bell icon, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.